Today, we're delving into the grim tales of 5 notorious Arkham villains who lurk in the shadows, mentioned but absent from the games, as we unearth the enigmatic stories of their dark legacies. I didn't really enjoy covering number 5 because that villain's weapons freak me out, so be sure to stick around so you can see what images pop up in my head when I'm sprayed by Scarecrow's fear toxin. Number 1. Maxi Zeus. Maxi Zeus, the madman who thought he was channeling the mighty Zeus himself, causing ripples through Gotham's gritty streets. He created a cult of gang members to do his bidding as he saw fit. Zeus became a power player in the Gotham City underworld. Zeus's criminal activities were perpetrated by his army of followers, and he believed were overseen by the Greek gods themselves. During Joker's takeover of Arkham, Batman observed a cell with Greek symbols all over it, and that most likely being Zeus's. The cell could be found in the patient pacification chamber at the intensive treatment center. Zeus was nowhere to be found, so it was assumed that he was at large at that time. In Batman Arkham City, a nightclub that was owned by Maxi Zeus, called Gotham City Olympus, was present. Maxi is implied to have become addicted to electroshock therapy. If he ended up in Arkham City, it's a good bet he crossed paths with Protocol 10 and had a cold-blooded dance with death. Number 2. Great White Shark. Warren White, once a smooth-talking financier, a thief in a tailored suit, thought he'd waltzed into a legal loophole with his insanity plea. But the moment he stepped into the loony bin known as Arkham, he realized he'd bargained with the devil. Other inmates, they didn't just get under his skin, they got inside his head, twisted his mind into a pretzel. He was disfigured by an encounter with Mr. Freeze that left him without hair, a nose, ears, lips, and several of his fingers. Calling himself the Great White Shark, he filed his teeth into fangs to more perfectly resemble his new namesake. Putting his financial skills to use, he has become a major player in Gotham's underground crime scene, running a number of rackets from his cell in Arkham. He was not seen directly in Arkham Asylum, however, a jar with his name on it, as well as containing his lips, ears, and nose, appears in the morgue. In Arkham City, there is a building with W. White on it, which most likely stands for Warren White. It was revealed he survived Protocol 10. During Arkham Night, you can go to the GCPD evidence room. Warren White's body parts he lost during his encounter with Freeze are on display, and Aaron Cash will give a commentary on him. This rogue left a legacy of corruption and villainy etched in the annals of Gotham's darkest history. Number 3. Prometheus. A dark reflection of Batman, Prometheus was raised by criminal parents, who were gunned down by policemen right in front of him. Dedicating his life to destroying the law, Prometheus traveled the world and trained in the ways of murder. Clad in an armored suit that maximizes his natural skills, he is a master assassin whose physical and mental abilities rival Batman's own. When the madhouse known as Arkham Asylum erupted into chaos, Prometheus, it seems, had slipped through the cracks long before the Joker's twisted riot. Not a trace of him in the game's halls, but a haunting reminder of his malevolence lingered in the penitentiary, where a newspaper clipping spoke of his dark legacy. Prometheus, a lethal enigma, a menace that haunts the night, and a grim testament to the shadows that lurk within the human soul. If you're enjoying this video, please do me a quick favor and hit the like button. It's easy for you and it helps me and the channel out a lot. Number 4. Humpty Dumpty. Humphrey Dumpler, a man who lived up to his eerie moniker, Humpty Dumpty. An obese, bald man nicknamed Humpty Dumpty for his egg-like form, Dumpler is obsessed with taking things apart and putting them back together. His crimes at first were minor break-ins, leading to small mechanical items no longer functioning due to Dumpler's inability to adequately reassemble them after taking them apart. But soon, his obsession grew to the point that major disasters occurred in Gotham. And Dumpler's crimes also extended to a gruesome attempt to fix his abusive grandmother by dismembering her and then attempting a Frankenstein-like reassembly. At Arkham, he is a model inmate, his quiet nature and imposing physique inuring him to the madness surrounding him. Although he doesn't appear in-game, a pile of Humpty's broken wooden toy soldiers can be found in botanical gardens. When scanning these toys, the player can solve Nigma's riddle. Looks like all the king's horses trampled all the king's men, and will unlock Humpty Dumpty's biography. His legacy is just a pile of his broken wooden toy soldiers that tell a tale of a man who had cracked and splintered, just like the world he so desperately yearned to mend. Number 5. Ratcatcher. Otis Flanagan, the Ratcatcher, started as a humble employed vermin hunter in the grim streets of Gotham. But the city's dark allure twisted him, and soon he was using his uncanny gift, an eerie connection with rats, to orchestrate a sinister symphony of crime. Eventually, his control over the vermin grew until he threatened Gotham City with a veritable army of rodents. Incarcerated many times at Blackgate, he's able to do as much damage within prison as outside, using his loyal pets to relay messages and transport materials inside the maze of ventilation ducts that wind throughout the giant prison. His gear could be found at My Alibi in Coventry during Arkham Origins and GothCorp during the Cold Hard DLC. While at Arkham, he was presumably under treatment of Dr. Young, as she possessed notes on his behavior. His gear was taken away from him, but he appeared to have retrieved it and had hidden it in a ventilation shaft for him to use when he was able to get to the botanical gardens. During the Arkham Asylum incident, the Ratcatcher fled Arkham Island in the confusion of the takeover, leaving in such a hurry he was unable to retrieve his gear from the botanical gardens. There is a long story about Ratcatcher and how he was murdered by Arkham Knight in the Before Arkham Knight comic. Let me know if you want me to cover that in a separate video. Ratcatcher is proof that in this city of shadows, even the smallest creatures can breed the darkest of crimes. To keep this video from getting any longer, I've only covered 5 out of the 9 villains I've found that were mentioned but didn't show up. It's fun to note that many of the inmates escaped the asylum before the Joker's takeover, and that's the reason why we didn't see them in the game. So as we close the book on these unsung villains of Arkham, remember that the darkness of Gotham runs deep, and there are many more tales to uncover. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll continue our journey through the twisted minds of Gotham's underworld. Don't miss a beat. Hit that Batscribe button and join us in our exploration of the city's darkest secrets. Until then, stay vigilant, detectives.